Good evening, everyone. I just want to welcome all of you to our first meeting of this new term and this, I'm going to say new committee. It's March 20th, and this is the Terrace Lodge Fundraising Committee. So procedure is going to be just a little bit different this evening because we have to do election of a chair and then election of a treasurer. And so in a minute, I'll turn things over to Jenna to run that part, like officially call the meeting to order and run the election. And then we'll resume the agenda, the items on the agenda after that. But I thought I would start with just introductions for now. And so we can go around the room and the Zoom room to see who we have with us this evening. So I'm Dominique Giguère, Mayor of Malahide, and appointed again by Elgin County to the Terrace Lodge Fundraising Committee, and happy to be here. To my left.
My name is Jenna Fenty. I'm the Manager of Administrative Services and Deputy Clerk for the County of Elgin. And you can't see her, but on our tech is Stephanie Hyde. She's our Legislative Services Coordinator, and she's here with us too.
And to my right.
I'm Sarah Leach. I'm a counselor for the Township of Malahide and was appointed by our council.
Welcome to her right.
I'm Amaryllis Drulard. I'm a counselor for the municipality of Dutton Dunwich, and I was appointed by the county.
And who do we have on screen? Jamie, you want to go first?
So I'm Jamie Chapman, counselor for the town of Elmer and appointed by town council.
And then
And
I think
I'm Jennifer Ford. I'm Director of Finance Treasurer for the County of Elgin, and I'm here to provide some financial support for the committee.
Hi, my name is Ashley Temple. I'm the administrator at Terrace Lodge. So I just started there in that role in December of last year. So I'm really excited to sit on this committee and see what's going on.
And I'm Tanya Noble, and I'm the manager of program and therapy services. I'm sorry, at the County of Elgin Terrace Lodge.
And did we lose Jim?
I think so.
Looks
no.
like he did drop.
Okay, so hopefully he can reconnect. We don't have quorum, right? We don't have quorum without Jim. I know we were also expecting a community member from BAM. So Wendy Carmichael Carmichael is was also hoping to join by Zoom. So hopefully not too many technical issues. And we can't proceed with the election until we have quorum. But we can chat, catch up with each other. I will go ahead and just talk a little bit about just for information purposes. So we're going to get I'm looking at my notes here. We're going to look at the financial report with Jennifer a little bit later. But I wanted to let you know, so our last official meeting was October, and we did have a celebration and a sort of Christmas campaign kickoff in November, but we haven't met since. We did take the time, so I met with Michelle Harris and Mike, what's Mike's last name? Our Hoopstra, as our manager of procurement, so we could have a look at the inventory of the catalog. So for those of you who are new to the campaign, so the whole campaign is based on a catalog so that our donors can see exactly the items that we're fundraising for. So it's not like a big black hole of money that Donors, sort of may not be sure where funds are attributed. So we had a chance to go through the list that with and Tanya's help, great help with Michelle and Mike, and to do an inventory, because as we learn and as we purchase different things, then we can adjust sort of the wish list. The other thing that has happened is that some items, so on the core budget, some of the items are shifting, some of the needs. And so on the actual development project, the budget is being adjusted. And so long story short, is that some of the items that we had in our wish list as an enhancement have qualified, if I can put it that way, to the core budget. So they're not an enhancement. So it's, that means fewer items and a lesser amount that we have to fundraise for. So we went through, so that can be encouraging. And there are things like many of the TVs, for example, the curtains or blinds, I guess. And so there are a few items. And so I went through the list, and we will be sharing an updated list with everybody and updating the website. But all this to say that the overall campaign goal, we're taking it down to about 560,000, down from 675. So that's a big chunk down. And that means our target remaining sits at about 225,000. So I'm hoping that's a huge boost of energy, especially for those who are returning. And, it has been difficult. We should be very proud that we have raised almost 335,000. But to know that the rest of the campaign is not to double that, is actually to reach 225, may perhaps, like I said, make it a boost of energy and say, yes, we can do that. And we can do that in 1 year and just call it mission accomplished. So that's the news I thought I would share with you as we're waiting for an additional member. And we do have Wendy with us. Can you hear us? Can you introduce yourself? We just finished a quick round of introductions before, and we needed you for a quorum. So before we actually call the meeting to order. So welcome, and tell us a little bit about how you got on this committee.
Okay, I'm Wendy Carmichael, retired nurse. I've met Dominique, and my daughter Bridget was involved previously. My background has been in geriatric and psychogeriatric assessments, and worked with a team out of Hamilton. And we also had a bed and breakfast and retirement home. So I've spent most of my life with seniors. I worked with the home care program for 12 years, as a care coordinator. And I have an interest now that we live here, especially in Terrace Lodge, because it's particularly close, and I'm getting older. And I live in Vienna. I'm so sorry.
Great. Well, happy to have you join our committee as a community representative from the municipality of BAM.
Thank you.
So thank you for being here. So let's proceed with the formal portion. I'll turn it over to Jenna.
Sure. So I will officially call this meeting to order at 7:12 p.m. And the first order of business today is to elect a chair for the new term of the committee. So at this time, I'll ask for any nominations or volunteers for the position of chair.
I nominate Dominique for chair.
I'll second that nomination.
Okay, Councillor Giguere, do you wish to let your name stand for the position of chair?
I do.
Are there any other nominations or volunteers? No. So moved by Jamie Chapman, seconded by Amaryllis Drouillard, resolved that Councillor Dominique Giguere be elected to the position of chair of the Terrace Lodge Redevelopment Fundraising Committee. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for the vote of confidence.
And the next position that we need to appoint is the treasurer for the committee. Are there any nominations or volunteers for the position of treasurer?
I nominate Sarah Leach.
Would anyone like to second that nomination?
I'll second that nomination.
Seconded by Amaryllis. Sarah, would you like to let your name stand for the position?
I will let my name stand.
Okay. Are there any other volunteers or nominations for the position of treasurer? Seeing none, moved by Counselor Jiguer, seconded by Amaryllis Drouillard. Be it resolved that Sarah Leach be elected to the position of treasurer of the Terrace Lodge Redevelopment Fundraising Committee. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And at this time, I will turn it over to the chair.
Thank you, Jenna. Well done. You're my next chair in replacement. Thank you. I'm really excited to, I feel that, well, like I said, I appreciate the vote of confidence, and I also feel almost a duty. We got this started, and it is definitely my attention that we see this through together and we get to our goal. So let's move on with the approval of the agenda. Assuming you have it in front of you, were there any suggestions for additions or things to remove or change? Not seeing any suggestions. So we can have a mover and seconder to approve the agenda as proposed. Amaryllis, moved and seconded. Jamie, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Adoption of minutes. Minutes from October 3rd. Any errors or omissions? Seeing none. The mover and seconder to approve the minutes. Jamie and Wendy, all in favor? And that's carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interests and the general nature thereof. Anything to declare? Seeing none. Move to delegations. We don't have any this evening. And so the next item is reports and briefings. So the first item within that section is terms of reference. So for returning committee members, those are the same. Nothing has changed since the revisions that were made sort of partway through our last term. For new members, I wanted to check if you had any questions, anything you wanted to clarify or suggest. So if everyone is okay with those terms of reference, at any time, by all means, if you see anything, and we're always happy to learn as we go and adjust as we go. Next item is a donation update. So we have Jennifer with us to share the latest numbers. Our Director of Finance, over to you, Jennifer. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, for inviting me. So the last time I spoke with the committee, the update that we gave was to the end of September 30th, 2022. So it's been a while. At that time, the funds that we had raised, or that the committee had raised at that time, was $292,453. And as of March 19th, 2023, we want to report that the amount that's been raised after expenses is $334,757. There is one item within that I would need to seek clarification on, and I think that we had a duplicate entry for one of the donations, which was for $20,000. So if that's the case, then this report would be overstated by $20,000. So then the overall fundraising total would have increased by 22,304. So I'll seek clarification from you, Dominique. We'll meet later and we'll get that sorted. Otherwise, at this point, we'll go down to the other page, the second page. With that 20,000 in, the March financials indicate that there's 69% of the in-year target for 2022 was reached by year end, and that the overall campaign target that has been reached sits at 54,000 as 54% as we begin 2023. So the way we show the pledges and the donations is at year end, we've cut that off for the auditors. So we have done that for 2022, and we're showing 156, 170 actually received, and 12,000 spent for a total of 143,338 in 2022. And then we've already started off 2023 with some donations of $6,055, another credit card donation of 1,000, and then the pledges are the expected value. We haven't received those yet at this point in the campaign, but the overall expected donations that we will receive is $52,055 at this point. At the beginning of the campaign, there was some fundraising consultants hired, and they were $4,500, which has been split over the course of the 3 years of the campaign. And signage as well has been split over the course of 3 years, for a total expenses to date of $2250 in 2023. So far, the anticipated amount we will get in 2023 is $49,805. We have one donor that pledged over 5 years, so we have had to add 2 years to that. So if anyone does approach you and wants to donate for a longer period of time, that's not a problem. We can certainly track that for you, and we will get that, receive that against the campaign as that money comes in. The financial report at this time does not include any of the capital spend that has been already made for the Terrace Lodge fundraising campaign. So we'll provide that information. As I mentioned, I'll meet with Dominique and we'll get that sorted out as to what actually has been spent through the campaign. Right now, all of the expenses for capital are going to the building fund. So without knowing exactly what has been tagged for the campaign, we can't provide a list at this time. So we'll do that at a later date. So I'm open to any questions or comments.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'll turn it over to committee members. So we're plus or minus 20,000.
Yeah, and I
Well,
apologize
yes.
for that because I kind of did this quickly for the meeting, and I didn't pay attention to that one detail, and I think we had discussed it. So I just really need to clarify from you,
Yep.
Whether that's owing or not.
Right. So yes, there is an item that's been entered but not reconciled because the date is wrong. So it's not supposed to be there. So that's why it's not reconciled. So I think that might be the amount we're talking about.
I believe
Uh,
so.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
and I can quickly, if I take that out, I can give you where we are in the campaign amount.
So probably just add the 20,000. I should also point out, and thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer's on vacation this week. She's
Oh,
agreed to do the report today and join us for a few minutes this evening. So that's much appreciated.
yeah, so we would be with that item out, we're at 314,757, and an overall 51% of the campaign has been received to date. So
Okay. Thank
which
you
is
so
still
much.
very good.
Yeah. Yes, yes. And as I was saying earlier, so the percentage is based on the initial goal of 675. And the plan is to decrease it to 560, I think is.
I'm not sure what the decrease amount is, but we had 225,000 each year was what was expected to be raised for a total of 675. So we're just about halfway there, which isn't, we are halfway there, which isn't too bad by the end of 2025 with those extra donations. And so 22,000 since the last report is good.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so I'll send you those numbers, Jennifer. What I was referring to as far as the 560 is a revised list. And that was just discussed last Thursday.
Okay.
So that will change the target for this year, basically.
Okay.
So then we'll be able to adjust the percentages.
Perfect.
Great. Any other questions or comments on Jennifer's report? Seeing none, you can go back to being on vacation, Jennifer.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll be in touch after your vacation. We'll clean up
All right.
and get everything up to date and get started for this term.
Looking forward to it.
Perfect. Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Okay, the next item I've suggested was a consideration for a 2022 annual report. I believe in your package, you had a copy of the 2021 report to give you an idea of what we produce after the first year. So we haven't started putting together a 2022 report because officially we didn't have a committee, so needed a decision to do that. So I wanted to ask the committee what your thoughts are on that. Should we produce something very similar, use the same format? Do you think it's it's useful in its current format, or what would be your suggestions for an annual report 2022? Open to your thoughts. Jamie?
I think the report was fine last time, and so we already have a template. It would just make it simple, and there was no complaints, so.
Yeah, and I think it was well received. It was distributed to all donors for whom we have an email address. And so we've got some, good comments. And so I think it is appreciated, and certainly goes with the principles of this campaign, always about transparency and communication. Any other suggestions? No? So we'll put that on our to-do list and update some of the pictures that we accumulated in 22, some of the items that we'll be able to report that were at least, if not literally purchased, at least, funded. Great. Thank you for that. I put this item here, the next item called purchasing of items as an update. I wanted to check with the committee because we've reached a point where at the campaign where we are actually, so staff are beginning to and have purchased some of the items, because if they are needed now and the facilities allow, like whether they've moved in the new section or not, if we have the money and the items are needed, we thought it's, why we don't, there's nothing that says we have to wait till the end of the campaign. But I was wondering, what do you think, in either the public or donors or the committee members, what your expectations would be and what would be reasonable in terms of reporting on items purchased? Because I don't think it's very difficult to do. We could perhaps do that on a quarterly basis, and, working with Tanya and Mike, I guess, like when they know that they've purchased an item, we not only would show in our spreadsheet that one column that says it's required. The second column shows that it's been funded, that we have funds, enough funds for it. And then now we can add a column to say that it's been actually purchased and is in use. So would that that'd be beneficial? Sarah?
I like that idea because then it also shows that we're getting closer to the end deadline, crossing the finish line.
Yes, so it's very real when the the item is actually, on location and being used. We could even get pictures of that, right, Tanya?
We could have pictures taken with the residents with some of the new items, if you'd like.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
think that would be great, and we can post that, show the momentum of the campaign and build that for next year's annual report. But yeah, I think that too would show again, the principle of transparency and how the money is truly being used to what we said it would be used for. Tanya?
It may also, if we have like photos of the items, it may also encourage new donors. They may see the kind of momentum when they see actual items,
Great.
potentially.
Okay, so we'll talk to Jennifer and Mike and to see what is reasonable, just to keep track of items. And probably, I think that's what Jennifer was referring to in terms of adjusting the report, so it could show up in the financial report itself to say how much has been raised and how much has actually been spent. Great. Okay, so any other comments on that? Any, I don't know, concerns, downsides? I think it's worth a try. It's probably want to manage expectations because it's probably not something we'll be able to continue indefinitely. So once we close the campaign, when we reach the goal, then there might be updates to the community and to donors. But what that would look like, I'm not sure. The level of details, but probably, maybe Tanya, I'm just thinking out loud here, but just like through newsletters and through, continuing to provide update to the community as to how the funds are being spent will probably be a good practice to continue. Great. Okay. So we'll put that on the to-do list as well. The next item on the agenda is fundraising strategies. So I wanted to talk about the promotional materials that we have, especially for new committee members. And I have a question mainly, I think it's about the main brochure. We had designed, so as far as the inventory that we have, I don't have actual numbers for all of the items, but we do have brochures that are generic about the campaign and the goals of the campaign and the background on the redevelopment. We have, what do we have? We have posters, like one-page posters, which we have in Low German and in English. So we have two versions. We have fridge magnets. We have coloring kits that we can distribute at different events. And the coloring kit has a bookmark and some crayons and 4 sheets that can be colored. And I think often we've given them with, it has a bookmark in them, and we can give a fridge magnet along with that as well. We have thank you cards, and I think that's about it. So we have good stocks. We have a few hundreds of, because I think everything was done with 1,000 to begin with. And so we have several hundred left. So my main question, the brochure, I think, is the only thing that has the name, the list of the committee members at the back of the brochure. We had done a reprint with new committee members just partway through last year. So now it's out of date, of course. So we have several members that have left the committee, and now we have new members. So I was wondering what your thoughts are as far as, is it critical that the list is up to date? How much, I don't know that personally I've ever received a phone call like directly as a, someone getting my name or name number from the brochure and then calling me directly, like making the connection. So what are your thoughts? Because of course a reprint is always an option, but we can always also use the ones we have. What are your thoughts, Amaryllis?
Before my name was put on the new brochures, I just stapled my name and number onto the back of the brochure when I was giving it out in case somebody wanted to contact me directly. So, I mean, it's because we are fundraising and to spend that money again, to me, I think we can be creative in ways that we make sure that our newer members are recognized. But we don't spend money. So that's just my thought.
Jamie?
I agree with Amaryllis. I don't think we should spend more money. I think that, I mean, I know that we didn't pay for the posters, that it was a donation from the Elmer Express, but I think that we should value that gift from them and not continue to, and especially because we have hundreds left. If we only had 50, it would be another story. But it's like Amaryllis said, if you're handing them out personally, you could put your own contact on them, or we could even take a marker and mark out the ones that are no longer with us. And you can do that before you hand it out. I don't think we should spend more money.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, that was one of my questions, whether we sort of put a marker to hide the names and how that looks. I'm wondering, I would be willing to contact the outgoing committee members to find out if they have a concern. Because I don't think they've stepped away from the committee because they're opposed to the cause or anything like that. And most, for everybody, was a time constraint. So I wonder if we leave them as is with permission from the outgoing members. I've got Tanya and then Jamie.
I was just gonna mention that sometimes you see people put like a sticker over top that just has the new members, and then it kind of covers that area. That might be an option, and I don't think that would cost very much money. Just as a thought.
I can find out the cost for sure. Jamie?
The other thing would be if we contact the previous members and just tell them the circumstance and ask them if they would redirect any calls to one of the new members.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable, because I think as far as the brochures, we didn't print that many, like the reprint was only about 100. So we probably don't have that many, so we could use them as is with permission and help our former colleagues to promote the campaign if they get a call, as long as we have their permission. Okay. Great. So I'll make sure all of those items, we have electronic copies. So I'll just make sure that everybody has at least an electronic copy so you know what we're talking about. Right now, I think I have at my house, I think I have most of the boxes. So if you need anything, then we can also follow up with me after the meeting and we can arrange to have it either, sent to you. We've even with the help of the libraries, we've been able to send materials to different municipalities and or just as we cross paths at various meetings, we can exchange materials. So let me know, but I'll make sure that on our Excel sheet, so there's the Google Excel sheet that we share, that you have an inventory of what we have. So if you need anything, let me know. Then I thought on the next, if there's nothing else on printing needs, so it doesn't sound like we need anything printed just yet until perhaps we decide on what our new strategies or what the strategies are going to be this year. And then if some printing needs come up, then we'll deal with that as things come up. I wanted to talk a little bit about different strategies that we've used to date, like just to remind ourselves that the different tactics that we have tried, and kind of summarize what we've learned, what seems to work well, and particularly thinking about, so what do we want to do this year? So I'll turn it over to committee members to, especially returning committee members, if you recall what some of the strategies we have used and some that we considered but didn't use. Are you okay? I'm also going to check with Jim. Are you able to hear us and join us? We see that you're connected, but we just wanted to see if you needed some technical assistance. Let us know. Otherwise, I'll have to count on, oh, there's a message. Is that from Jim? You can hear us. Okay. Thank you. So I'm looking at Amaryllis and Jamie as returning members and staff as well, just to kind of do a quick recap of things that we've done so far. If you can remember.
Well, I think one of our biggest ones was the wardens event. And I don't know if we could convince the warden this year to do it again, or if he would do a golf tournament, but that was quite successful. And it got the word out to a lot of people, so that was good.
Yes.
We did our fair campaigns, and even though the individual days were not overly successful, we did land a substantial donation from the oh my goodness, what is it called? I'm terrible with names. The foundation in St. Thomas.
Yes, Elgin St. Thomas Community Foundation.
Yes, I was going to say community foundation, but I wasn't sure of
Yes,
the first part.
you got it.
And so I don't know if we've applied to the Almer Community Foundation. I don't know if we've applied for that. Some of the grants we did very well with. And just keep, I mean, for every 10 you ask, only one says yes. So don't get discouraged.
And yes, we did apply to the Aylmer Community Foundation and did receive, I believe,
We did.
$10,000. Yes,
Oh, good. And there's nothing wrong with applying again this year.
correct.
It's a yearly thing, so nothing wrong with applying to both of them this year.
That's true. That's a good point. Okay, so community foundations, yes. And the fairs.
It just gave us exposure. I think that
Mhm.
was part of it. Like a lot of people that we talked to, they may not have left a donation, but they were unaware of the event. I do know that the further we got away from this area, the less response we had. So I don't know how far we should go, but that seems to be an issue. But it's about exposure, right? So maybe someone from that area would catch on to it. And
Good points, Amaryllis. You wanted to.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. Unfortunately, I did not get to spend much time at those events. Just some things had come up. But I do, because I'm out at the western end, it is a little more difficult but what I do is I insidiously continue to talk to people hoping that one of these days they'll just say, they won't stop crossing the road when they see me. No, I'm just kidding. And they'll actually say, okay, yes, I understand, because I say, remember, it's it's for the county, and you don't know where your loved one might go. So the comforts of home is for anybody who goes anywhere. I mean, if your loved one is there, wouldn't you want them to have the comforts of home? So I just keep kind of having those conversations with people. And the thing is that because you went there, other people spoke to me. So that did have some effect. It may not have landed us donations yet, but there's hope.
Mhm.
So I'll just keep asking, but I wouldn't, maybe if we were going to do those events again, perhaps not such a long period of time for the volunteers. I think that's a long day, just maybe in the heart of the day where it's super busy, and then in and out, and so, because that's a big commitment to be there for 2 days. Some folks ended up 2 days at some of the events, so it is a big commitment for people.
Wendy and then Jamie.
Sorry, I did a few days at a couple of them, actually. I did Aylmer and, was it, I've forgotten the other one, forgive me, wasn't Wallacestown. In any event, it was quite interesting to attend them. I take into a point what you're saying, Amaryllis, about the time, but it went so quickly, perhaps because the people that were sitting there were really nice, but also interacting with the people was kind of fun. And I speak from a retired person, so it was just something that was enjoyable. The other thought that, are we attending, or do we have a booth at the home show in St. Thomas on the weekend, or have we done that?
No, 'cause this is our first meeting of this committee since October, so no, there were no plans for that.
The last idea that I wondered about was murder mystery. I don't know if anyone's ever attended those. It can be dressed up as much as you want or dressed down as much as you want. But we've been to several. We've kind of traveled to them. There was a great big one in Kitchener that was a lot of fun. And there was a group of people that sang and were assumed characters. But in all of them, the focus is the murder itself and the whodunit, so to speak. It brought in a lot of people. There was a dinner. You can do a dance after. We're going to experiment with it in one of our little fundraising groups here, and I can certainly let you know how it's received. But that was something that, if we keep the cost of the food low or relatively low, so that you have a good amount of your ticket price in the end, you can make quite a bit in those.
Oh, great. Yeah, keep us posted on that. Jamie?
Oh, I was just gonna say, even though the days were long, they go by very quickly. And I think that if you just sit in the chair behind the table, the day is very long. But if you get up and move around and interact with people who are walking by, it goes by more quickly. And if you're only there for a small segment of time, you're going to miss maybe the right opportunity. So I don't think having a booth sit empty is as impactful as having someone there. So even though it is a long day, I think that it's valuable to be there.
So what I'm hearing is some general support, and maybe what we can look at, I mean, now we're more organized too. We have the kit, everybody's kind of familiar with, setting up the table. Because the logistics, especially as we were getting started, were, a little bit intense, just in terms of moving stuff around and planning shifts. And then, who has the stuff for the next? So it is involved, but I could see how maybe sort of streamlining things a little bit, and then maybe just doing the 1 day or 3 days. So then you have a couple shifts, but definitely it sounds like the exposure is valuable. Yes. Amaryllis?
Yeah, and I guess maybe I was just feeling for the people that picked up my slack when I had to go, and they spent like double shifts there. So perhaps that's why I was feeling that way. But Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there, but I do think the exposure was good.
So what we'll do, I think this year there are even more events. I mean, last year, so 2022 was kind of the first year of events returning post pandemic. And I think this year there are even more. So we'll connect with our tourism colleagues to get a list. And perhaps at our next meeting, we can decide which event we're willing and able to attend. And we can start looking into registration and fees and all of that. There was a note in the chat. I can't read the chat from here, so I don't know if,
I can read it if you want.
yes, please.
It's from Jim and it says, my wife Janet and I were at the booth at the Elmer and Shedden fairs and we thought it was good exposure.
Yeah, okay, so thank you for that, and thank you for all the work that went into those last year. Yes, and they were last minute. We all helped each other and everybody pitched in and ended up being lots of fun. And we had lots of beautiful days, actually, and great weather in most of them. So, okay, so we'll get a list going and then perhaps we can prioritize. I have a feeling there will be more events this year, so I think there'll be an opportunity to prioritize and not try to do them all. That's not do all the events and not do all of the days. Okay, Jamie?
There is an event coming up and I don't know if it would fit us or not, but the educational animal display is, they have an open house. And I'm not sure if it's the May 2-4 weekend or the weekend following that, but it's a 2-day event. And they have about 30 vendors at the moment. And they get a really good turnout. The actual numbers I'd have to check into, but it might be a different kind of exposure than some of the fairs that we have.
Okay, we can look into that, see if there's time to get that organized.
If we talk to them really nice, they might volunteer our space.
Okay, do you know the organizers?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So if we talk to them really nice.
Yes, we'll count on you for that. Thank you. So we'll get a list of events. So one of the strategies, so we have done some advertising for the Christmas campaign. So we had targeted ads that were partially sponsored by Elmer Express. We're grateful for that. So hopefully, I mean, there was some activity despite, the committee sort of not being in place during the Christmas campaign. You saw from the report that, there was some activity during or just prior leading up to Christmas. So probably advertising might be worthwhile, but we can always discuss that for next Christmas. One idea that got started, we didn't get to implement was, and I forget the specific term, but where we partner with a specific merchant or company or store, like we talked about Canadian Tire or and we did partner with Domino's Pizza. I think that was through you, Jamie, maybe.
Yeah.
But so where we partner and then there are different ways that where there can be a donation that, point of payment, when you're asked, would you like to donate to such and such today? Point of sale. Thank you. So we didn't quite get around to partnering with that, but so maybe in closed session, we'll identify if there are some, we have templates. So the consultants had written templates that we can tweak a little bit for each merchants. But so that strategy we didn't implement, but we were really close and it sounded like there would be support in the community. There might be a few stores who might be willing to do that for us and with us. And like I said, we're almost ready to go. I think we have the tools. So we'll discuss that further. Wendy?
Sorry. Does anyone know anything about this Chase the Ace? They're making a lot of money in different places with that game, Chase the Ace. Like they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I have heard, but I don't know the details. Amaryllis?
It's, there's quite a substantial amount of paperwork to them. However, they can be very profitable. Now I come from the East Coast and I know that the Nova Scotia firefighters last year, 2 times made over $6 million. But that's a
Okay.
province-wide, like it's all the
Right,
volunteer
right.
firefighters. So I agree, it is, it has potential to make money. And there's templates through the Lottery Corporation. We did look into it through our recreation committee a couple of years ago, and Dutton Dunwich just didn't have the capacity to do it at that time, but if we have the capacity, it's certainly worth investigating.
And is it a bit similar to a draw? Like, do you need a lottery?
Yes, you
License?
do, and you have to do it through Ontario Gaming.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll ask just to double check, we may not qualify as a municipality for a lottery, but well, I'm not sure about that. I just vaguely remember we had considered doing a draw during the fairs and we ran into some technicality, but let's look into that. Jamie?
When you were talking about advertising, have we approached the radio stations and asked them for a donation of radio time?
I don't believe we have. So let's put that on the list. Yes, yeah.
Because that would give us wide exposure.
Great. If we could even combine that, if there is an event where we're gonna be at the event and we
Mhm.
say, you know, go see them at such and such booth and great idea. I will mention, so other ideas for partnering, so the Swans, so the Springfield Swans had offered to partner with us and either on like bingo or dinners. So there is one of those ideas that is that has materialized. So I'll use this time on the it's one of our strategies for sure for 2023. So there's a beef dinner on April 29th and it's a takeout dinner. So it's super easy and all proceeds. And there it's in conjunction with an auction, an online auction. So they're hoping to obviously sell as many tickets as they can. The tickets are $25 and I'll canvass everybody for volunteers. We don't have to do anything. It is being catered. But there is still work some in the kitchen in terms of assembling all the bags and greeting, you know, the cars as they come and especially because it's specifically for Terrace Lodge, it'll be nice. Like we'll make sure we have our signage at the door and all of that. So we have tickets to sell. So by all means, they come in little packs of 10 and so they're super organized. And so after the meeting, it would be great if committee members could commit to sell at least 10 tickets and if not more. But yeah, so all proceeds go directly to Terrace Lodge. The Swans do not take any of the revenues. So I think that's super exciting and that's something we can, it's like the foundation of the grants. The Springfield Swans have donated in the first year of the campaign. And, you know, in conversations, I reminded them that this is a multi-year campaign and they often do donate, you know, to the same organization several years in a row because, you know, if it's a worthy cause and there's a good fit. So I think that's a good reminder to also approach service clubs again, even those that have donated before to see if any of the events that they're organizing, if we can help out, if we can partner. I think that would be a valuable strategy for this year as well. So April 29th, beef dinner in Springfield. Need to sell tickets. Nobody should have to cook. I'm going to declare April 29th, nobody cooks day. Go get a beef dinner instead. Other ideas? I mean, obviously, probably our strongest idea or strategy was the phone calls, like direct conversations with different organizations, different corporations. And often it's, as you know, it's multiple phone calls, like one to raise awareness, the second to follow up, do a presentation, and we have templates for PowerPoints. If you're asked to go to a bank or an insurance company, sort of board of directors meeting, you want to give a presentation. So those phone calls, that direct one-on-one conversation will continue to be a very, very strong strategy. So I think we can all continue to do that and coordinate our efforts with the tracking sheet that we have. But other than that, so we'll look into the list of events. We'll discuss different organizations, businesses that we can approach perhaps for partnerships. Murder mystery, when did you want to look into, you'll come back and tell us a little bit more about that, sort of how it works, and sort of it's always the balance of the return of effort to donations. And Chase the Ace, we'll look into the lottery aspect. I'm looking at Jenna because we'll track down what were the technicalities that we ran into. And for the radio ad, anybody want to follow up specifically? Anybody have contact? Or
I might be able to, I don't directly have contact, but I have I belong to an organization that they have direct contact with 98.1, so
okay,
I can follow up on that.
great. Anybody has contacts at the Briggs or?
In Aylmer, there's the Low German station as well, too.
Okay, I think I can follow up with them. They helped last year with translating the poster, Jamie.
They also, I forget the name of the program, but they would actually do an interview with maybe you, Dominique, and you can tell about the program and they would, it goes out to, it's in English, but I'm sure they would translate if need be for you. So that might be helpful as well.
Okay, great. So I will contact them. Thank you. Okay, so let's get started with that list and we can report back at our next meeting and start narrowing down or identifying what we want to do when, so that we're not too stretched too thin. And go from there. Anything else on ideas for 2023?
Just one quick question. If I make that contact with 98.1, you would be willing to interview with them?
Sure, she said with a strong nod. Yes,
Yeah,
I'd be happy to.
okay,
yes.
excellent.
Always happy to have a co-star too. Okay, so moving on then, other business. Anything else? Any questions? I realize, Ashley, this is all new to you, catching up. So by all means, after the meeting, I'm sure Tanya or Michelle, but you can contact me also if can catch you up, and same for Wendy and Sarah. We don't have any correspondence this month, so let's go into a short closed meeting item just to get oriented on the donor outreach update. So can I have a mover and seconder to go into closed session? Jamie, Sarah, all in favor? And that's carried. Because this is really loud. So during the meeting, they turn it off. Okay, and welcome back. can I have a motion to rise and report? Amaryllis? Sarah? All in favor? That's carried. Okay, so now we come to the most challenging part of being on this committee, the date of a next meeting. So I'm gonna propose approximately 1 month to see what that looks like. And we'll try to accommodate, of course, we need everybody there as much as possible. Okay, so the Monday from now would be April 17th. Is that when you're? So Sarah's at a conference. What about the 24th? And is that, we have to watch, we can always move location. This location we have to keep in mind is also Central Elgin's council chambers. And they often, that's their meeting on the 24th. So let's see if the date works first, and we can always find an alternative. I think that's probably, sometimes it's easier to find a different location than a different date. Jamie, the 24th? Is that a possibility? Wendy,
During the day,
during the day only. What's, yeah. And Amaryllis, the earliest even by Zoom is 5, realistically.
The earliest even by Zoom is 4 o'clock. Yeah,
if we could do 4:30, then I could make my 6:30.
I actually could probably, if it was here or the other center, I could probably even make the meeting for 4:30.
How about others? Wendy, Sarah, 4:30 on the 24th. Jim? Yeah, wow. This is bodes well. Ashley, Tanya, is that doable? Maybe even preferable than the evening?
That's good for me.
I'm not available on that day, but I apologize, I'm away on vacation.
You're allowed. You're allowed. Good for you. And we'll make sure, as we appreciate just how available you've been also, because I want to point out that Tanya does a lot of work in between meetings, between our grant applications and keeping the catalog up to date. So that's quite all right. Okay, so should we tentatively book April 24th, 4:30? And as long as we're finished by, if it were to be here, we'll confirm the location to see if we need to coordinate with Central Elgin or just meet somewhere else. So that way there's no issue there. Wonderful. Well, if there's no other business, I'm delighted to be back at this again and regain our momentum and get to our new target of 245, not 225, but still very, very doable, I think. And I think we have the right people to get it done. So thank you for being on this committee, for being here this evening. And with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Jamie, Sarah, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you and have a nice evening. We'll see you on the 24th and we'll be in touch in between.
Good
Bye
night.
now.